Stormwater or MS4 program here at the MPCA. And my camera has not been behaving very well lately, so I may have to turn that off, but until then I'll leave it on. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. This is our 11th monthly outreach and question and answer session that we have held since October of last year. And a couple of housekeeping items before we get going here. We like to try to keep these as informal as possible. I mean, these outreach sessions are intended to inform all regulated parties or other interested and affected parties that join us for these outreach sessions. We love questions. We want questions. We want to answer them to the best of our ability. So we highly encourage everybody here to feel like it's informal. Raise your virtual hand if you have a question, click off your mute and simply ask the question. Use the chat if you would like, whatever mechanism you'd like to use to get a question out there is fine with us. And if you recall, some of you have probably attended our outreach sessions in the past, but the reason we began doing these outreach sessions last October is because we wanted to best prepare the regulated community and other interested and affected parties in the MS4 regulatory world. Better prepare everyone for coming into compliance with the 2020 reissued general permit for small MS4s. There were a number of changes in that permit from the 2013 permit, and the schedule within the newly reissued permit allowed 12 months after obtaining coverage under that permit to bring your local programs, the MS4 local programs, into compliance with the new provisions of the permit. And so we wanted to hold these outreach sessions just to facilitate that process and make sure everybody was comfortable incorporating those new requirements into their local programs. So today's outreach session is no exception. So far we've been through all minimum control measures 1 through 6, public education, public outreach, illicit discharges, active construction, post-construction, and then pollution prevention, good housekeeping. In addition to those 6 minimum control measures, we've talked about TMDLs, crediting for TMDLs. We've talked about the agency's enforcement process and how we perform audits. And this is our last monthly outreach session in this 12-month series. We are seriously contemplating picking up more outreach sessions in January, and they may be quarterly after that, but we're not quite sure yet. But this is our last monthly outreach session in this series. And today's outreach session is about the Minnesota Stormwater Manual, because this Minnesota Stormwater Manual has a plethora of information in it, specifically related to MS4 related stormwater management, construction stormwater management, and a lot of other things as well. We have received a lot of feedback during our outreach sessions and through other means, and it appears as though not everybody out there is super familiar with this stormwater manual. A lot of people are familiar with it. There's a lot of folks that don't quite have a handle on all of the different materials and guidance, guidelines, and other related help in the stormwater manual. So we just wanted to use today to talk about the stormwater manual. We gave it the name of Stormwater Manual Tour as it relates to MS4s. So that's what today's session is all about. We normally give some program updates also, but as much as I hate to say it, we're pretty short on MS4 stormwater program updates right now. Unless somebody has some particular questions, we'd be happy to field those or answer those. But I just don't really have a lot of program updates this morning. And so if you do have any questions, please chime in. So with that, I would like to well, first of all, I'll stop right there and ask if anybody does have any questions. If not, I'll be turning this over to Raj Heck, who's going to start us out with a couple of basic Mentimeter questions. And so Raj, take it away.
Hello. I'm gonna send the link to Mentimeter here in the chat. Follow there. And I will present. Hopefully. All right, just a couple of our normal intro questions. What organization are you representing today?
And we really encourage you to participate in these Mentimeter questions. It's very helpful, I think, not only to those attending today to see what's going on, but it's also very helpful for the PCA to know who is engaging with us on these outreach sessions and all of those things. So please participate if able.
Again, too, if you didn't see, the link is in the chat, which will direct you straight to the Mentimeter. Otherwise, you can go to menti.com and enter that code in. Move on to the next one. Feel free to jump in if you didn't answer the previous ones. How long have you been working with MS4? All right, I think that's consistent with the same number of participants on the last one. There will be more Mentimeter questions going forward, so
All right.
I'll continuously post the link, but
Thank you,
I'll hand it
Rocky.
back to you.
All right, thank you. So we will now pass it on to Mike Trojan with the MPCA, and I will not even attempt to introduce Mike. He can introduce himself, let you know who he is, but Mike, take it away.
Thanks, Dwayne. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I should have put a dress shirt on today. Oh, well.
And we can see you okay also.
Well, that part's unfortunate, but so I just have a couple real quick slides here that I'm going to go through. Can you see my slideshow presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So just a couple minutes. Some of you, maybe all of you, or most of you have used the manual and are familiar with it, but just a couple backdrop slides before I pass it back. So what is the Stormwater Manual? It's basically just a resource for practitioners, including permittees, not just for permittees, but for a wide range of audiences. It is not a regulatory tool. However, it does support regulatory requirements. And so if you were to go to the table of contents, this is what the manual would look like. It's in a wiki format, an electronic format. So how does it support permits and permittees? Well, it has guidance and recommendations. For example, up at the top here, you see this page, design guidelines for tree quality and planting. So it has information on how to build things, how to operate and maintain them. It provides access to tools and resources, the minimal impact design standards, calculator, for example, for those of you who have used that tool, or maybe the MPCA simple estimator. It does include information and requirements, so scattered throughout the manual, you'll see these red alert boxes. These are permit requirements, and so we make sure to emphasize those throughout the manual. And then there's information on how to meet requirements, and I think a couple of our speakers will touch on some of this. An example would be this page on forms, guidance, and resources for completing the TMDL annual report form. The manual was originally written in 2005 and updated in 2008 in a PDF format. We received Clean Water Fund money in 2011. We upgraded it into an electronic format, and we've received money off and on, or basically since then, in a couple of different formats that I'll touch on, to update information in the wiki, in the manual. Where have those funds come from? So between 2013 and 2019, we received clean water funds dedicated to stormwater manual updates. In 2017 and through the current permitting or current funding cycle, we have received money that we call accelerated MS4 implementation. That's going to be the primary focus today. I'll come back a little bit later and touch on that top bullet as it relates to the manual, because there are linkages between what's in the manual and the MS4 stuff. So we've used this accelerated MS4 implementation money to update information on the MS4 toolkit, the digital document library, and TMDL guidance. And so at this point, I think I'm going to pass it back to, let me make sure that I hit the right button here. Instead of leaving, I just want to exit. So hopefully you're back to home base here. And I believe Nick is the next speaker. I'm not sure, but I'll pass it back to whoever takes over from here.
I'll do the MC stuff. All right, I think next on the agenda is we're going to bring Raj back. Now that Mike has talked a little bit about the manual, we have some manual specific Mentimeter questions. And so Raj, there's 3 of them, I believe. And so Raj, if you want to go through those, that'd be great.
All right. Oh. There we go. Are you familiar with the Stormwater Manual and the resources within the manual? Again, link is in the chat if you need it. All right, increased number of participants. Love to see it. How often do you visit the Stormwater Manual for its resources? Right. Final one this time around. How would you describe finding the materials you're looking for? I'll leave the slide up if people still want to answer it. Otherwise, Nick, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name's Nick Missler. I'm one of the PCA MS4 staff that does permitting and compliance and enforcement activities. Today, I'll be going through the MS4 related resources from the Minnesota Stormwater Manual and the MPCA website. Just a couple updates. The PCA has a new website. There's a new layout and organization to it. It was reorganized to help users more easily find information that they're looking for. And there's also a plan for the Minnesota Stormwater Manual to be reorganized. And there's always an effort for the material to be updated and making sure things get updated with latest permits and things like that. The resources you see today that I'll walk through, they won't be going away. They would be reorganized to more easily find that information. And the Stormwater Manual is set up with connecting pages, so you can find the same information multiple ways. As you surf around the manual, there's different links that will take you to the same landing pages. You'll see maybe some of that today as we walk through. And then the pages that I go through today, I'll have links to all those web pages at the end. So I'll just get started here and share my screen. Everybody see that okay?
Yes, we do.
All right, great. So just to get started with your favorite web browser, Minnesota Stormwater Manual, search for that and should be one of your top hits. And this is the main page to the Stormwater Manual. Like Mike Trojan had said, there's a lot of information in here, much more than just MS4 related, all kinds of things. And so as you're on this main page, there's different topics. And as we scroll down under regulatory and permitting, we have municipal stormwater permit documents and fact sheets. This link here is going to take you to the main homepage in the manual for MS4. And on this page, a lot of good information. We have the general permit, we have past permits, we have minimum control measures, TMDL information, tools and resources that I'll be going through here shortly, audit guidance, and other technical assistance. Just taking a look at the minimum control measures page. Again, a lot of these pages are connecting throughout the manual. As we click on a few of these, it just has their own pages for a lot of the specific topics. Something I wanted to highlight is we have this MS4 audit guidance. And here is there's a couple things here that talks about the overview of the audit process, the notification, length of an audit, how to prepare for it. So it just gives you a really good idea for those who have not gone through an audit, what that would look like. And then there's also this self-audit guidance that can walk you through basically doing a self-compliance evaluation to determine if there's anything that you're missing and what sort of compliance you're in with the different requirements. So that can be a really helpful tool long before you would ever get audited to make sure you're in good shape. Under the tools and resources on the main MS4 page here is the MS4 toolkit. And what the MS4 toolkit is it's a resource for our local stormwater program staff. It's intended to help those staff regulated under the program to meet the requirements of the general permit. And the toolkit has a wide range of stormwater education information, including fact sheets, newsletters, videos, and other resources. And I'll walk through some of the examples and things that the toolkit has to offer. Starting off with MCM1 here, public education and outreach. There's a lot of different topics of education materials that folks can distribute to the public. And just a couple examples here. Under outside and in the yard, we have different topics that have to do with pollution prevention. And one couple here is under sweep up, rake up, and pick up. We have lots of different topics just underneath this overall sweep up pickup. Things about keeping the streets clean, what to do with grass clippings and your leaves, no illicit discharges, pet waste, winter yard prep. And these are all things for distributing education materials to the public. And so under clean streets for clean water, here's a couple examples. Under social media, a couple that I think are neat are these cleaner streets, cleaner water graphic. So it just gives some examples that you could either use these as printables, you could use them like on Facebook or other social media. Another one here, informing the public to keep things raked up, swept up, keep them out of the curb and gutter. Under grass clippings here, that can be a common thing for folks, informing the public how to properly manage their grass clippings. Under social media, have this no grass clippings in the street graphic here, similar one to one we've seen. And then we also have a lot of these resources in alternative languages like Spanish and Somali. So you'll see some of that. It's like this leaves cleanup here, have the English version, and then also we have it then in Spanish. So those are really great too to hand out for those alternative languages. And then one more I wanted to highlight here is the, well, I gotta go back one here to winter salt use. Just more examples again of what we have to offer here in the toolkit. Under social media, more graphics about salt pollution. So gives the public some education there on why too much salt is bad for the environment and where it comes from, road salt, water softeners, fertilizers, and bad for aquatic life and drinking water. I think a lot of the public enjoys the graphics and different pictures that come with it. And then we also have another smart salting graphic here that can be distributed to talk about ways to help manage and good use of salt. Going back a few, we'll move to MCM3 examples. And under MCM3's page here, we have a lot of other good resources again. We have the model pet waste ordinance here. There's different documentation and tracking templates to use, like the illicit discharge documentation template. There's example procedures that include the illicit discharge detection and elimination, responding to spills, and the enforcement response example procedures. Under training tools, these can be tools to train your field staff. One example here is the illicit discharge staff training PowerPoint. And I'll just give that a quick look. In this case, this was one that the City of Big Lake had provided. So it just gives a nice overview of what our illicit discharge is, how to look for them, and just gonna skim through this real fast. You know, different examples of what they might be. Again, this could be something that you would either have maybe in a classroom, or you could just distribute this out by email to your field staff, and this would count as a training for them, and then just document that they acknowledge that they had gone through this training material. And then at the end, it has about how you can report that then to the appropriate staff to follow up. And then we also have a training video here too, that's through YouTube. And then any of these stormwater manual resources and material, you can edit any of this to fit your needs. Like for the example, that PowerPoint, just switch a few things up to make it your own. All of the material in the manual is for you, and you can take different photos or different graphics and change them up or use them as they are. But all of that you see here is for you to use as you wish. Some examples in MCM6 is there are presentations and YouTube videos for training your staff. So you have a lot of good presentations here and YouTube videos.
Hey, Nick, sorry to interrupt. Do you mind increasing your browser size a little bit? I've got old eyes and I can't see it very well. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. How's that? Too big? Just right?
That's better.
Okay. Okay, so that is a highlight of what MS4 related material is in the stormwater manual. I'm going to touch on some other resources we have. I'm going to jump to the MPCA MS4 homepage. And this will look new as the agency has redesigned these pages. We have this really nice graphic here about why do we care about stormwater, really nice infographic that talks about the different pollutants from stormwater and how they get into our receiving waters. Talks about what is an MS4. You know, this can be a place for new staff to look at this information and that they're just getting started and get an idea of the background and general information about MS4 and permitting, along with the public too, if they're ever looking for more information. We have the MS4 map tool, and this is an interactive tool that you can zoom around and see all of our permitted MS4s. There are different layers that you can turn on and off, like different aerials or road maps. Here is where you can see the urbanized area map as well. Turning that on and off here in purple. The purple lines are the outstanding resource values. You can turn those off, and then the red is impaired waters. So just a really neat interactive map to see different permitted areas, your own permitted area, check out the UA if folks aren't familiar with that, and then different special impaired waters, among other layers. We have the complying with the MS4 general permit link here, just in the what is the MS4 section. And zoom to that page. Has more resources and information about how to comply with each MCM. Something I wanted to highlight is the model ordinance. Make the screen a little bigger here. Under MCM4 and MCM5, we have the model MCM4 and 5 regulatory mechanism. And that's a really nice guidance document to help incorporate and meet those regulatory mechanism requirements. So that's just a quick overview again of what we have on the MS4 PCA homepage. I'm going to zoom over to the MPCA Construction Stormwater website. And on this page, talks about who needs a permit, common plan of development, different permits and forms. There's also the special waters and impaired waters map. And also a lot of great guidance for construction stormwater projects. And this is just a really good resource for MS4 construction stormwater inspectors, and also a lot of great information that you could give to your contractors. So there's different compliance guidance. I really like this one here, the 10 steps to pollution prevention on small sites. This is just a really neat little handout you could give to contractors, home builders. Could even keep a copy on your field staff as just a friendly reminder for things to look for as they do their inspections. There's different best management practices, guidance, things like infiltration systems, stabilization, different top specific guidance, like forest road exemptions, common plan of development, utility projects, and then covering the different Minnesota rules. So a lot of good resources here for those MS4 construction stormwater inspectors, and nice handouts to provide contractors, both for your MS4 projects and private projects that you're overseeing. I'm going to move on. This is the last website I'll cover. It's the PCA Statewide Chloride Resources webpage. And just a note that on the MPCA page, if you're searching for any specific topics, another way, instead of using the drop downs and trying to find what you're looking for, it can be really helpful just to use the search tool here and find, can be more helpful to find what you're looking for. On this statewide chloride resources page, lots and lots of good stuff here. And just to get to know more about chloride reduction and pollution prevention for salt. Things like public education and other resources to help meet the MS4 permit requirements. There is the model chloride ordinance, and then lots of different snow and ice policies and videos, printables, and other resources, all related to salt and chloride. And if there's any specific resource you are looking for, please contact your PCA staff for assistance. If it's something we have, we'll be sure to help you find it and get it to you. Otherwise, if it's something we don't have yet available, that's great for us to know, so we can work on getting those resources available for folks. And that's all I have for today. I will put 4 links in the chat. They're going to be a link to the 4 pages, the manual, stormwater manual MS4 homepage, the PCA construction stormwater, MS4, and chloride homepages. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you, Nick. Does anybody, before we move on to Anna and TMDLs, does anybody have any questions for Nick? Okay, then Anna, I think you're up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Bush, Stormwater TMDL Liaison, and I'm going to give you the Stormwater Manual TMDL tour. Okay, so I'm going to just, like Nick, start on a normal browser page. Manual, Minnesota. Again, we're at the first link, which will take you to that main page again. So the way you can get to the TMDL stuff in a number of different ways. You can scroll down to the regulatory permitting, go to the municipal stormwater landing page, and then even I have a hard time finding it. And then there's the total maximum daily loads link. Or you can, up in the search bar on the stormwater manual, you can hit TMDLs, hit enter, and you got a list, and we'll go to the total maximum daily loads page. So there's lots of TMDL content within the manual. This page, I've tried to put sort of the high points or things that I assume people want to know about. So we've got some general permit guidance here. So, you know, how to complete your annual report form, the link to a lot of the TMDL GIS shapefiles that we collected to help with the application process last year, and that will also be helpful moving forward for annual reporting. Summary of TMDL requirements. And then we have specific pages for some of the new permit requirements in the last permit. So we have a page for guidance for meeting chloride TMDL, you know, explains the specific permit requirements in the 2020 permit related to chloride and how you can meet those requirements. So we have that for chloride. It's a long one. Click here to go back to the TMDL page. We have pages for that for chloride, bacteria, dissolved oxygen, and temperature. Since those had, well, the bacteria and the temperature had sort of new and different requirements, so they explain what the specific requirements were and how you can meet them again for bacteria. And again for temperature. So we have all those. A link to a bunch of the webinars and videos that we did during the application process last year. And for annual reporting. There's a new page for if there are 38 MS4s affected by some new legislation. So we have a link for that explaining how that all works. And then down here we have toolkits for permit compliance. So you've got the overview of the different models. So specific information for P8, WinSlam, MIDS, the link to the calculator, the MPCA simple estimator, and you can, through here, you can also download the simple estimator calculator, guidance around monitoring, quick guides, case studies, and then just some general TMDL guidance and information. So the other thing that pops up, so sometimes when you're looking for TMDL information, you need to actually go to, you might want to find your associated TMDL, which we don't have in the manual. That's on the PCA webpage. And with the new redesign, I want to help show people how to find it if they're looking for their specific TMDL report, because it's not in the reorganization, it's a little bit harder to find now. So if you're on the main MPCA landing page, to find the MS4 page, you would go over to permits and regulations and go to water permits. There's a few ways to find it, but that might be the easiest one. And then water permits, stormwater, MS4. There's also another link to the manual from the stormwater permit page. So if I click on the MS4 page, I know there was a TMDL. Oh, that's not very fun. See, even I get confused sometimes, sorry. Okay. Watershed information. All right, TMDL project. So here, we used to have a map that you could pick your watershed that is now changed to a drop down or a list of all the different watersheds. But if you're looking for your TMDL, they are all linked on this page. Probably the easiest way to find it, the way like Nick had mentioned, would be to put the name of your TMDL up in the search box. So you'll get a list, which there's still some bugs to work out. But all the TMDLs are listed since their EPA approval date. So starting from, the most recent was approved in January of 20 down through, 2000. So they're all listed on one page now. So if you need to find your actual TMDL, those are housed on the PCA webpage and not in the manual. All right. So
Is that list
again,
sortable?
yeah.
Is that
Pardon?
list that you were just showing sortable?
It used to be, and I have not figured out how to sort it now,
Okay.
the redesign. So the only other shortcut it would be to, there is a document that has the list of all of the TMDLs. So I think if you use this, you can search it. It's a little bit easier to see things. And then if you click on them, well, that one's a 404. So if you're having a hard time finding things, reach out to me and I will help. But there's probably some broken links that we need to take care of. But you should be able to click on the TMDLs and it will bring you from that document to the right page, and then you can go down. So all the TMDL reports have been moved onto the associated watershed page. Some of these used to have their own page and now they've been all collated into the one watershed. I think that is. So the only other thing I wanted to mention was that if there is something you're using a lot and you think it should be on this landing page, let me know and I would be happy to put a link to it. All these resources are for you. So if there's something I can do TMDL wise to make it easier to find things or use things, just let me know. Otherwise, does anyone have any questions?
And feel free to chime in with questions anytime.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to now turn it back over to Mike Trojan, who has a few words to say in context of the things that we just talked about.
Thanks, Dwayne. I'm going to go back to sharing screen here. So you've heard about some of the MS4 specific stuff. Obviously, there are linkages between the manual and the MS4 stuff. I'm going to focus on that manual. I mentioned earlier that we have received two different pots of money, manual money and accelerated implementation money. Most of what you've seen so far has been developed using this accelerated implementation money. We've also gotten this manual money, and so we've used that to contract out for updates to the manual. I'll touch on some of that briefly. We also do a lot of things in-house. We develop a lot of content in-house for those things that we have the knowledge and the expertise and the time to do. An important part of my job and previously David Fairbairn, our research scientist job, also is to collaborate with researchers and practitioners. So I work a lot with the folks at St. Anthony Falls, for example, even folks outstate, other researchers. to find and get new information into the wiki. The nice thing about the wiki being electronic format is we can update things on the fly. And so that's been a really nice feature of the wiki. I should expand my screen here. So the manual dollars themselves have historically been largely used to develop technical information, which we then convert into guidance and tools. I'm going to go through some quick examples. So for example, with construction stormwater, we have this page on construction stormwater, and all of these pages here on different erosion prevention practices, in this case, temporary seeding and stabilization, mulches, and so forth. Nick had shown you earlier this 10 steps to stormwater pollution prevention. A nice thing about the wiki is we can then take that, for example, and link to other information. For example, if you wanted information on vehicle tracking, this image, which is in the wiki, the manual, has a live link to this page on sediment control practices, which then provides technical information on this specific sediment control practice. Some other examples, not compost, which is another PowerPoint I'm working on, which may be of more interest to some of you. Anyways, we have information on pollutant removal. So if you're working with TMDLs and you need to know how much credit you should get for a practice, we have those types of pages. BMP construction, design, operation, maintenance. This is a page on bioretention. So all of these are pages related to bioretention, how to build it, how to design it, how to operate, maintain it, how to determine credits. There are roughly, well, I'll talk about that. There's a lot of photos in the manual, and we have these galleries. Nick had mentioned reorg. We're going to be trying to get organization, a better organized structure to the manual so you can find stuff. The manual's got tons of photos that you can use. It's got lots of case studies on different types of practices related to different stormwater management. It has specification details, CAD images, CAD files. All of those can be accessed through the manual. So what's in the wiki? About 950 content pages, about 700 different additional 700 pages that have tables. We've uploaded about close to 1,000 JPEG files, close to 600 PNG files, or 331 PDFs in the wiki, 201 Word documents, 176 Excel files, 68 PowerPoint files, some videos, and of course, tons of links to external sites. Nick had mentioned we're looking at organization. We are very interested in your thoughts. I noticed in the Mentimeter question earlier that folks can get to information, but there is a bit of a struggle to get to it. So we're all ears when it comes to, well, what specifically would you like to see that would help you get to information better? Is it I'm not sure what's there, or is it it's taking me a long time to get to where I want to go? And of course, we're always interested in what would you like to see. I'm hoping that we continue to get funding. What topics would you like to see addressed? TMDL, specific MCMs. What format would you like to see? Would you like to see more fact sheets? What tools have not been developed? We developed a simple estimator, for example, in response to what we heard about folks wanting to address their TMDLs. Do you want to see more case studies? Do you want to see more model ordinances? Would you like to see more videos, more webinars? So with that, I am going to stop sharing and pass it back to Dwayne. I guess you're the MC, so I will give it back to you.
Sure. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you going through all of that. Okay, well, that concludes kind of our presentations and what it is that we wanted to try to communicate regarding the manual. And now it's time for opening it up to Q&A, questions and answers. The floor is yours to inquire, ask questions about anything you heard today. And I'm not even going to stop there. You can ask questions about anything you want, but if it's about the manual, fine. it's about something else, that's okay. So the floor is open. Go ahead and click off your mic or drop something in the chat. And if we're off to a super slow start, we do have some tie-up Mentimeter questions that I'll have Raj do. And so we'll just go here. We'll just pause for a minute and let you fire away with questions.
Do you guys have any information on like sediment ponds and how sidewalk salt and all that affects that? Or anything like that on sediment ponds?
That's an emerging topic, and we do have a little bit of information, but right now it's kind of buried in some other pages. We don't have a specific page on that topic. The University of Minnesota, the Water Resources Center, is very interested in ponds and pond research, and so we've been working pretty closely with them. Is there something specific you might like to see with regard to that topic? We could put together a fact sheet. We could work on a page. Like I said, we have it, but it's kind of embedded right now.
Well, it's kind of all new to me too, so I was just wondering if we, you know, if there's some certain chemical that we shouldn't be using on ponds, and as far as sidewalks go and our parking lots and issues like that. You know, we have a pond here in Worthington, Minnesota, and I was just kind of wondering how that affected all that.
Yeah, what we know based on the research we've seen so far is that road salt obviously gets into ponds, stormwater ponds, and the standard NERP pond, the traditional NERP ponds that have been designed over the years, will develop these denser water layers at the bottom because of the salt that's come into the ponds. Consequently, it does affect the way the pond behaves. Sometimes it doesn't turn over like it used to, and we can sometimes see these phosphorus pulses come out as a result. So this is an area of active research. We're still trying to learn more. We know the chloride gets into the ponds, and we know it's affecting them. One of the things that's been discussed is, can we design ponds to deal with chloride better, make them shallower, for example, so that they turn over a little more readily. So it's an active area of research, and it might be something that we could put in an upcoming newsletter or something. I don't know if, hopefully most of you are on our newsletter distribution, but maybe that's a good topic to throw out there for an upcoming newsletter.
Okay, one other question, you know, how does that, we pump out of this pond for our sprinkler system. How is that helping our lawns, or is that killing our lawns?
Well, that's a good question. Without seeing the analytical data coming out of the pond, it's tough to say. Sodium would be the big concern with the lawn. So I would test it. I would recommend, if you think it's got high chloride and high salt inputs, I would test it and make sure sodium is on that list of analytes.
Okay, thank you for your help.
Yep.
And I'll add that there's a lot going on with stormwater reuse, and Scott Fox, I don't believe, is on the call today. He's our kind of reuse expert at the agency. There's some studies going on with reuse. The Minnesota Department of Health is involved, and some other agencies. Nothing has been concluded. Nothing is firm yet in terms of stormwater reuse as of now. The stormwater program encourages reuse as a best management practice to manage stormwater volumes. And so as of now, irrigating, watering with that water is certainly okay under the MS4 permit. But I can't say that in the future things will be found or discovered that may change that. I do not know.
One thing I'll add, this is an interesting topic, but one thing I'll add regarding the manual itself is that obviously we try to walk a fine line between when we feel we have good enough information to put into the manual. We don't we don't want to put stuff in there prematurely, but at the same time, we don't want to hang on to stuff forever either. So we walk a fine line between saying, yeah, we know enough about something now to put it into the manual. So sometimes the research just isn't quite ready yet for us to put this stuff out there. So I don't know if that is good or bad, but that's unfortunately the world we live in. Is we don't have a refereed process in place like journals where it might take a year or two, but at the same time, every time I hear about an issue in the news, I don't run to the wiki and type something into the manual either.
Well, we want to be accurate and we want to be right, as right as we can be. Thank you for that question, Brian.
I've got a question for you in the stormwater manual, and I haven't looked, I'll be honest with you. Is there information on there on infiltration rain gardens and proper maintenance that could be shared with the residents on what they can do, what they can't do, or anything of that nature?
Actually, that's a good question, maybe for the MS4 folks. There's certainly information in the manual on operation and maintenance of rain gardens. Whether that's been translated into information that can be shared with residents, I think that would be a good question for the MS4 folks. I would hope that maybe there's something in that toolkit, but
I wish I could elaborate on that. Carly Cheldall was kind of the green infrastructure and rain garden person in our program. She's now left the program and she's not with us today. Mike, I was hoping you would know what is in the manual in the way of that. I guess I would have to look into it before I could answer that question accurately. Jane, you have a question?
Oh, it's just a follow up with the topic that you're talking about. I don't know if it's in the stormwater manual, but there's a couple of watersheds out there and organizations that have put together pamphlets for residents on stormwater maintenance or not stormwater, rain garden maintenance. And then down here in Dakota County, they have the Soil and Water Conservation District does free rain garden maintenance workshops that at least recently have been hosted on Zoom. And there's probably some recorded ones. And then the Minnesota Water, Let's Keep It Clean. So cleanwatermn.org website, which is sort of a watershed partners thing. I know a couple years ago they had one of their blog posts was all about people cleaning up their rain garden and had a list of things people can do. So I don't know if they're on the stormwater manual. They very well could be, just because I think the person who did a lot of work on the toolkit is involved with some of the organizations that developed some of the resources I've talked about. But
I think that points out one of the potential weaknesses in the manual is when we've developed a section, for example, on bioretention or rain gardens, we've kind of focused on design, operation, maintenance, pollutant removal, and so forth. If you go to that page, that main portal for rain gardens or bioretention, we don't really link to the MS4 stuff. And I think that is something that maybe we should discuss, Dwayne, is, how can we improve the link? Because Jane, I'm pretty sure you're right. There's got to be something in the manual somewhere on the topic. And the fact that I'm kind of the main caretaker of the wiki, but I can't tell you exactly where it is I think symptomatic of something that we probably need to address in terms of linkages between the MS4 program and some of the other sections in the manual.
also highlights just the need for this effort to reorganize and organize better what's in the manual related to MS4. And thank you, Jane, for offering that information. I have a feeling, I mean, rain gardens are huge worldwide, and there is a plethora of information out there. It may not reside in our stormwater manual, what you may be looking for, but there is information out there through other sources. Okay, are there other questions? We'd like some more. Okay, well, we're going to hold things open a little bit longer. We can go ahead with Raj, and he's got some tie-up Mentimeter questions, and then after that, we will stay on for some additional Q&A if anybody has any. Otherwise, we will conclude our session today if there aren't any questions when Raj is finished. But Raj, go ahead with some tie-up Mentimeter questions.
Hello again. More Mentimeter questions if you want to stick around for them. What guidance or materials would you suggest be developed and made for the manual? And also, if you don't want to post stuff here, you can always send it to us at the email listed there, or you can send it directly to your MS4 contact. Really, anyone. I am sharing this screen, right? Everyone can see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, good. All right, I'm gonna keep moving forward. How helpful was the information provided today? All right. And then for future outreach sessions, what would you like to learn more about? Suggestions for what we can cover in the future? We've already covered MCMs 1 through 6, TMDLs, our audit enforcement process, and the stormwater manual today.
And Raj, you can kind of just leave that up for now, and we can open it back up for questions and answers. Jane, I see you still have your hand up. Do you have a question, or did you just forget to put it down?
I just forgot to put it down.
Okay.
Dwayne, this is Mike. Maybe I'll just take a second to comment. A couple questions today about whether things that are in the manual. I would guess that most, if folks are looking for things, that most of the time, more often than not, it is in the manual. So please feel free to reach out to us and ask for it. And we understand that right now things are not as easy to find as we'd like them to be. The manual does have a ton of information though. So if you do have questions, please reach out to us.
Okay, how long we stay on here is dependent on the questions that we get. And so we will give it probably 3 minutes. And, I will say that it's been mentioned a number of times during the session today that the MPCA's website is new. Just as an FYI, it was relaunched. The new website was launched just days ago. I think, can anybody confirm, was that Monday of this week?
Yeah, Monday night.
Monday night it was launched. So as we all know, just in life, with things like that, there are bound to be some flaws and mistakes. And so when you go on our new website, there may be some things that don't quite work right, like some of us have already mentioned. And so if there is something you're looking for, or a link that is broken, or some issue, feel free to reach out to your MS4 staff person here at the PCA, or me, anybody else that you know, and let us know. Okay, Nick, you are the meeting owner, are you not?
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't look like anybody has a whole lot of questions here, so I think it's probably appropriate to go ahead and conclude our session today, so you can do that.
Sounds good. Thanks everybody for coming today. Have a great day.
Thank you. Yes.